everyone. I'm SX NOIR. Welcome to my radical corner of the simulation. You're listening to the Thot Leader Pod. And yes, you heard that correctly. THOT. I started the Thot Leader Pod to destigmatize and demystify topics in sex tech. In each episode, we are holding space for authentic conversations with thought leaders about how we navigate developments in the sex technology industry. My intention for this space is radical thoughtfulness. I believe empathy is the key to intimacy in digital space. This podcast aims to unpack how sex tech enhances our human experience. Are you ready? You're listening to the Thot Leader Pod. I have an absolute brilliant guest with me today. When I first was thinking of the second season of the podcast, as you all know, we're making it more guest focused. And I thought, we have to have Glenise on. We have to be hearing about Vdom. A friend of mine put me onto Vdom a while ago. And when I heard about your company and heard about what you're doing, I thought, this is sex tech. When we're talking all these big words and big game about the future of the industry, this is what we're talking about. So without further ado, I'd love to hear from you, Glenise, the founder of Vdom.
Thank you so much for having me, SX. I really appreciate it. You know, I've heard your name way too many times, but not enough in the industry. Like, I've been on one of the events that you've had before in the past, and your energy is absolutely amazing. So I appreciate you for having me for sure. And as you mentioned, my name is Glenise Moore, and I am the founder and creator of the Vdom. And the Vdom is the world's first app-connected prosthetic genital device. That is a mouthful, but it's the best way to say it. And yeah, we're based out of Atlanta, and we've been at this for about a year and a half now. We are almost to the finish line of finishing up our prototype, getting it ready for manufacturing, and getting it out on the market. So we're super excited right now.
Yeah. I love that you're out of Atlanta. I love that you're Black. I love that you are, identify as a woman, like all of these things that are so important within this industry. And you've told us the origin of Vdom, but I'd love for you to share kind of what was that thought process of like, we need this product in the world.
This is always the number one question, just because being a Black lesbian woman that is creating basically a male replica of a penis, this is the first question everybody wants to know. And my answer to that is that it really came out of necessity. So as I just mentioned, I identify as a lesbian woman, and I had a thought one day, sitting around with friends over dinner, and a couple of bottles of wine went through, and I was just like, wouldn't it be nice if we had a product like this that could literally just be worn anytime? It could give us the opportunity to have spontaneous sex anytime, anywhere. Nobody would know that we had it on. And, we could extend the bedroom for ourselves if we wanted to. And so all of my friends were just like, oh, here you go again. Because I am that adventurer. I am that person that thinks off the wall kind of crazy stuff. So everybody sat there for about 5 minutes, and in unison, everybody turned around and was like, wait a minute, that actually would be great. So I started researching, started seeing if it existed, if there was an opportunity for a business with it or whatever, if it could even be built. And once I found out it did, I went full speed ahead with it. The thought again was, I just want to be able to have spontaneous sex with my wife anytime, anywhere. And yeah, just went full speed ahead.
Hell yeah, I love that. I want to do that too. I've always loved to explore my queerness with, a penis sometimes. Hey, and not necessarily someone behind that penis. But,
Exactly.
I'm wondering, something that you've expressed yourself as in your bio is a tech nerd. So what does that mean? And like, what other kind of techie things are you into that could have inspired this or just gave you the knowledge to know, I can actually do this?
Yeah, for sure. So I am a self-proclaimed tech nerd. Outside of my job, which definitely is connected to technology itself, I work professionally in information security and cybersecurity. And so that technical, logical piece of it was already there. I love gadgets. I love to break stuff apart and just see what it's made out of. I call, one of my superpowers being that I'm able to break apart many things to create one new thing. So just, having that background and having an interest in all things technology, I wanted to see how I could challenge myself with, first off, building a consumer product, which is extremely hard. I'm not an engineer by trade. I am not electrician or electrical person by any means. So I definitely did the research to see exactly what possibly could create the product. And then I went and found the experts who could actually do it. I gave them, definitely the guidelines, and I drew out the first diagram. I knew what it needed to be sort of made of, but I made sure I got the right people in place that can actually bring it home for us and actually build it. But with the mobile app that's connected to it, that was more my forte. So I didn't know how to actually code. So I did teach myself how to do the baseline code enough to be able to hand it over to, again, the experts once I knew what the features needed to be and what's some of the cool aspects of the application, what it needed to consist of. So once I mapped that all out, then I went again, found some of the experts, put a team together that was able to actually build the app out. But that was more so my forte, just because I do a lot of, information security auditing of mobile applications and of web-based applications. So that was a little bit easier for me.
Nice. So whenever anyone talks about being in the tech industry, everyone thinks it's like, you just behind a computer coding or hacking. And in reality, you can be in this industry without much background. And it's up to us to go out and find those answers and research. And I'm wondering, you've said that you are queer, that you are lesbian, and how do these things impact how you innovate?
Definitely. So with building this product, I knew what the hangups were with traditional strap-ons. So that was the first thing. I've been using traditional strap-ons since, the first time I had sex. So I knew what the hangups were. So I directly set out to challenge to really knock out all of those issues. And I started out with, of course, my own personal preferences. And then I just polled, a lot of my friends. I polled, a couple of LGBTQ groups and just, wanted to see what people's feedback was, wanted to see if we were all on the same page or if this just is my problem. But I came to find out that there were three main problems that pretty much all of us had, regardless of what part of the LGBT community you identify as. We pretty much still all had the same issue. So it was comfortableness. Is comfortableness a word?
Yeah,
but
I think so. Yeah.
But being comfortable in that with the actual product on itself. So, traditional strap-ons can, depending on if you have some hips or if you don't have hips, like whatever your body type is, traditional straps can be, grueling in terms of pulling them tight on your body so you can have enough stability. So I wanted to challenge that. That's why we went with our custom pair of underwear that I actually built out myself, which it pretty much has a strap built into the actual garment itself. It comes with 3 different types of underwear bottoms so that, whatever your preference is. But I just basically built the straps inside of the underwear. So you don't have that cutting feeling, but you still have the stability. So it was comfort. Then it was the whole awkwardness of putting on a traditional strap on. I think that is probably my biggest hang up. It is such a headache. If you've ever used one before, it's like you have to say, wait, time out.
I've had my fair share, and listen, don't even get me started on throwing on some thigh highs and strapping those bitches on, then strapping on the strap on. I'm like, I'm strapped to death. I am strapped down and with this strap on right now.
Exactly. So it's like, first I gotta stop what I'm doing because some people just jump in the sack, but for the most part, you got a little foreplay that's going on. You're getting hot and heated. You are connecting. So to take a time out to actually go now assemble something, put it on, then you have to do to me, I call it the walk of shame, just because I'm feeling really awkward when I gotta, walk from the bathroom to the bed. And it's like, we know what's about to happen now as I do the walk. It's so just awkward. So I wanted to eliminate that as well. And then something discreet, because as a lesbian woman who has a certain preference, I don't necessarily want to walk around with a bulge in my pants. Some people do, and that's, all good, but I don't. So I wanted it to be something discreet that I could be out to dinner with and just transition easily no matter where we were. So those are the 3 things that were pretty much the hangups for everyone. So we wanted to eliminate the whole backpack thing as well, with the convenience of being able to wear the device without anybody knowing it. So those are the challenges we took on, and we hit them.
I am obsessed. I want to ask you one last question in our food for thought segment before we get into deep thoughts, because my brain is just like wanting to dive into all of those things around the product. And a question that I like to ask all of our guests is, navigating the sex tech industry, it requires a certain level of empathy, right? Because we are in such a normally kind of taboo industry where there's a lot of stigma that surrounds what we talk about. And it sounds like you've really been able to build a decent team around you at Vdom. And I just love to ask the question of like, what has friendship and solidarity meant to you while you're building your business, and the important element of emotional support when you're doing something that's fighting so much stigma, when you're doing something that is really dealing with marginalized folks and marginalized genders.
Definitely. It has been actually a better road than I expected and anticipated, to be honest. When I first started down this journey, I'm a type of person I don't necessarily like to be in front of a camera first off. That's the first piece. I'm a little shy when it comes to that. I like to be background. So trying to explain to people what I'm doing, it was just like, you're either going to have to just stop doing what you're doing or you're going to have to jump in there. So I jumped in there, of course, and in the embracing of the community, the embracing of my friends, my parents who were just like, this is awesome, go forward with it. And I was really afraid that they were going to be like, what in the hell is my daughter doing? But they weren't. They were fully supportive of it. So it ended up actually being very comforting, very embracing by pretty much everybody we've put it in front of. We've gotten definitely some, negative feedback sometimes. And it comes down to, actually individuals who just have a different perspective, period. It's not really about the product itself. And to me, I respect everybody's opinion, just don't try to push it on me. I won't try to push mine on you. So that's my approach to it. But it has been, more positive than negative by all means. So I have nothing but good stuff to say about it.
I absolutely love hearing that. As you know, I'm the president of the Women of Sex Tech, and part of our mission and goal is building community around sex tech. And the goal is that when people enter with an amazing product like yours, that they're embraced and that they're not pushed away and isolated. Love to hear that answer, because it can be very terrifying, right? Entering something that really does not have the structures in place to support. And so to find that support is amazing. So we're going to take a quick little break here on the Thot Leader Pod to hear from some of our advertisers. And then we'll be right back with more from Glenise on what the Vdom is really doing, how it really works, and how we're going to fuck shit up in the sex tech industry. All right, y'all, be back in a minute. Hello, everyone. It's SX NOIR, your host of the Thot Leader Pod, and I am here with Glenise of Vdom. And in this segment, we're going to get a bit deeper thoughts, where we're going to talk about this actual product within sex tech. And my first question off the bat to be, what is Vdom? So it's a prosthetic penis that can be flaccid, erect. It's underwear. We're putting it on. Like what's happening? What's going on?
Absolutely. So it is basically, it's at the end of the day, it's a mechanical penis. That is the best way to describe it. A lot of times people are like, why did you do a male replica of a penis? And it was simply because why recreate the will if the whole point of it is penetration and we already know what they look like? So let's just keep the form. So I kept the form, but it pretty much goes from a flaccid state to an erect state with a push of a button. There's several ways to control it. You can control it via a manual control that's actually on the device itself. But we wanted to eliminate people having to actually put their hands in their pants to turn something on. That kills the flow, just like, having to assemble something. So we wanted to eliminate that, but there is a backup button on the device itself. But it is Bluetooth connected to a mobile application that we've custom built ourselves. And it's basically an on and off button. You can literally engage the device by initially connecting to the Bluetooth and then just push a button on your phone that turns it on. And then when you turn it on, it makes it erect. And then when you push the off button, it makes it not erect. So that's the simple parts of it. But yeah, the idea is to have an erection easily, push up a button.
I love it. I love it because, when I first heard about y'all, that was the thing. I mean, obviously that's kind of like the secret sauce of your product. That was the thing that really caught my attention, is this conversation of, flaccid to erect, and this conversation of like consent within that. And so, of course, just like with condoms, we can adjust our sexual script to go, oh, well, now we're going to get the condom out. Of course, you can do that with strap-ons or whatever. But God, how fun is it to present this option? And not only fun, but therapeutic and wellness of having this product that goes from no arousal to aroused, that can actually replicate how the human experience is around arousal. And so that was the thing that really caught my attention. And these conversations about pulling in biology and technology together, that is absolutely a part of the future of sex tech. Something I wanted to ask you about was the true reach of this product. So when people enter the sex tech industry and they have a product that is around an anatomical penis or an erect penis, they say, oh, it's a toy. It's a toy. you're playing, it's a game, you're playing with it, right? It's so you can have fun and entertainment. But what I love is some of the points that you brought up that's like, this surpasses entertainment, this surpasses a toy, this actually enters the wellness and health sector that a lot of sex technology does. Could you talk to us more about that?
Definitely. So this is something that's very important to me when it comes to the VDOM because again, of course, the initial thought was I'm going to create something that I could use spontaneous sex with my wife. But then once I really started to get into the weeds of it and just realizing, hey, no, wait a minute, this product is going to be huge for so many different reasons, in addition to just being able to find something off the shelf that complements some of the three nuances that we spoke about before. So once I really started to understand like who this product is actually for and who it could benefit, we realized that our target audience was way beyond the LGBT community. I mean, it surpassed it so much. We started getting a flood of emails from heterosexual men who have erectile dysfunction, individuals with certain physical disabilities. I had the most amazing email one time from someone who has paralysis from the waist down and just couldn't find a solution that was just at least the most humanistic as possible to have intimate moments with his wife. And so when I got that message, it was like, whoa, wait a minute, we're looking at this a little bit different now. So once we started to do the research, we realized that the necessity for it is pretty much even kill across the board for those three different types of groups. And so this is unique to us, of course, and especially in the business, because it means that we don't have just one target audience. Our target audience is pretty much even across the board: LGBTQ, physical disabilities, those with erectile dysfunction. So that's why we actually started calling it a prosthetic in the first place, because we realized that this is solving a problem for something that is missing, just like a limb on, your arm or your leg. So we realized that this is pretty much the exact same thing. So we wanted to make sure that it is looked at as a lifestyle product and not necessarily just a convenience product. Because to me, sex toys are convenience products to me, which are great convenience products. I have plenty of them, but I wanted to make sure that it attached to lifestyle as well. And to me, that means that if you have a certain type of, anatomical restriction or disability or something, it's a part of your lifestyle to want to have sex and to have intimacy, and everybody deserves that. It's on the hierarchy of needs. We need it. So therefore, I wanted to make sure that it was identified as a lifestyle product so it didn't get, too lost in the weeds of what the sex part of it. So
I think the way that you explain that is just the most brilliant thing in the world, because I agree. I think in the sex tech industry, we have so many products that reach far beyond even just sex, right? And that sex is all these things, but it's so overreaching. And it really shows the power of the economic future of this industry. Because when you have a product that's what you're talking about, whoa, now we're really talking about this next $1 trillion industry. And so I want to ask you a question about kind of funding and fundraising and how you are navigating that. So I know that this product isn't on the market yet. For everyone who's listening and is like Googling and going, oh my God, I need to I need to get this right now. If you could tell us how you're navigating getting funding, and also just how people can really support this product so that we can make sure that we really see this in real life.
definitely. So I had the pleasure of and the blessing of being able to fund this project myself for the first, I want to say about year and 2 months exactly. Is I took all of my savings and I still have a 9 to 5. So, I went into the official paycheck to paycheck world and took all my savings, took all the money that I had coming in and literally put it towards this project until I couldn't go anymore. But amazingly, the very last month that I was like, I don't know how I'm going to keep going forward, Cindy Gallup, the most amazing woman in this industry, got a hold to VDOM's existence in some form of fashion. She blasted it out and on her social media platforms. And literally the next day, we had a phone call from our first investor that we brought on board. So that truly helped us. And it was, for some reason, that momentum just started to bring in more interest. I ended up bringing in 5 total family and friend round investors. The only one that ended up coming outside of someone that I already knew was one individual that was actually out of the UK that was in connection to that Cindy Gallup blast.
I love her. Can we blast her out? What's her name?
Hey, I mean, I was gonna say something, but Sophie, that's my girl. That's my girl. So yeah, Sophie was actually the first one to come on board that was outside of my home team. And
Yeah.
and now she's a part of the home team because me and
Yeah.
Sophie are like this. But it was a lot of people that just believed in what I did. And you will not believe it, that the very first person after Sophie was my mom. Was like, listen, I've had this stash I've been hiding from your dad for like years here. And I was like, what? Seriously? You've had all this money? So
that is too good. That's too good.
My mom was just like, nope, I believe in this. I go for it. And if anybody knows my mom, she does not give away money. Okay. So she was one of the first investors. And then pretty much this is another amazing story. Would have never expected this to happen. A 67-year-old Black woman in the South, who I don't know how she found Vdom on the website, but she emailed me one day and was just like, I really want to invest in this. My boyfriend has erectile dysfunction and I don't want to break up with him, but I'm this close to breaking up with him until I saw your product. So she believed in it and was just like, how much money can I invest? I was like, this just does not happen.
Listen, like, sex technology is the enhancement of a human sexual experience. And that's not just for us on an individual level, but on a partner level and a community level and a family level. Like, oh, Glenise, Glenise is a true testimony, y'all. Let me tell you right now, I'm calling it right now. In a few years, I'm going to look back on this interview and go, exactly. I remember when. I just am you can't get the smile off my face. I'm like smiling the whole time. I love that we're on video because, hearing these stories, this is important. And if you are someone who is Black or queer and you're listening to this going, no one's going to want to support me. What I want to do is too out there. Ooh, no. Your own mother may invest in you. So you never know. You got to put it out there. You got to put it out there. Hi, thought leaders. This episode, I want to shout out Mod, a sex tech company changing the game. One of the first things that attracted me to Mod is their range of gender-neutral sexual wellness products. Mod is a modern sexual wellness company built on quality, simplicity, and inclusivity. They are on a mission to change this outdated industry and make intimacy better for us all. I highly recommend their Vibe, a 3-speed USB-charged, powerful flutter tip personal massager. Its simple design and high-functioning speeds get the job done. Find out more at getmod.com. Back to the show. And so this has been such a great interview. And I just want to wrap up with some questions that I love to ask. What is the importance of Black queer-led sex tech venture?
Most definitely. So really quick, I'll try to be quick. I could be long-winded. The future of Vdom, though, is I hope that Vdom is going to be a catalyst for creating more prosthetic genitals, to be honest, and definitely want to dive into the female anatomy as well. So create that as well for, individuals who prefer that sex. So definitely want to dive more into that. I hope that it sparks, some of these really, really smart people, scientists around the world and engineers around the world to create more prosthetics that are, for genitals. We are working on some very advanced technology here at Vdom as well. So there's some sensors coming down the line. There's some vibrators coming down the line. There are some brain interface computer technology that's coming down the line. So we are really getting into the real serious tech part of it so that we can create some more bionic devices that are really, really techy. So that's the future of Vdom. And we definitely want to make sure, again, that this is a catalyst for creation in this realm. Nobody's touched it and I have no idea why. So hopefully this starts it. And then the next aspect is, the question, what was the second question?
I did the bad thing too, where I asked you, I just piled it on. I'm like, remember it all and answer it all. No, I wanted to ask you, I know that, we keep talking about being Black and being queer and all these things, but an important question I want to ask you is why is it important for people who look like us and have our lived experience to be innovating in the sex tech industry?
Definitely. 100%. There are not a lot of products that are created specifically for the LGBT community. That's the first part. But in addition to that, there's not a lot of products that are created with the Black individual in mind as well. So just like any other industry, we have to be a part of the decision making. We have to be a part of the creation. And a lot of times we feel like, oh, it's just too, we're already dealing with a whole bunch of other stuff, as you can imagine in this world. So we're always, when it comes to stuff like this and going outside the box, we get a little intimidated by it, and I'm saying that from a personal stance, because at first I was like, nobody's ever going to listen to me on this. Nobody is going to feel, who am I to be some lesbian woman walking around here saying that she wants a mechanical penis? So, but I had to get past that fear. And what I realized is that my voice has been super impactful for getting other people around me to realize, wait a minute, you're right. Nobody's been really thinking about the LGBT community like this specifically. Or, wow, these are innovative things coming from the ATL. Like, who would have knew? It's important because representation is important. So I'm just happy to be a representative of all the things that are just not necessarily represented. So as a Black lesbian woman, I'm excited to be here, and it's needed.
Like Issa Rae said, I'm rooting for everybody who's Black. No, it's true. You really hit it all on the nail. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with you. So the last question we're going to ask here is, I know I asked you what the future of Vdom is, but I want to ask you, as someone who is a tech nerd, as someone who's, has a very big interest in the innovation of technology, what do you think the future of sex tech will be?
Oh, it's going to be astronomical. Some of the stuff that I've seen, some of the ideas I've heard, some products like Lori DiCarlo is just killing it with innovation. And so many other people as well. And I just think that the more we really hone in on the fact that technology can be used in multiple ways, and then, we start to look at what are all of the issues. I just think if we keep, here we have tech, we have an issue, we have tech, well, where can we meet them? As long as those two are in the same sentence or in the same thought process, it's astronomical. Technology advances, faster than anything else on this earth. So I think that it's going to be amazing. I am so excited. And that's another thing that I hope Vdom does. It's like, okay, we see that this could sort of happen. It could work. Let's get to it, guys. What else you got? you know? So yeah.
Truly moving the needle forward. And we thank you so much for all the work you put in. Everyone on the podcast, Glenise, how can we find you? Where do we follow you? How do we support you? Give us all those details.
Absolutely. So our website is www.thevdom.com. And right now we are doing pre-orders. So we are doing super deep discounts for people who adopt early on the pre-orders. We also have our IG page, which is probably the most poppin' page that we have. And that's our IG page is the.vdom, VDOM. And then Twitter and Facebook, you can find us at Vdom ATL. And we're about to drop a really huge campaign on YouTube. So please check us out starting the first week of April. It's going to be some really cool content that's going to give you the behind the scenes of how this thing has worked and how it's been built.
Ooh, I'm actually thrilled for that. And everyone who's listening, you're going to be able to check this interview out on YouTube as well. So we're super thrilled about that. Thank you so much, Glenise from Vdom. And we can't wait to see all the great things you do.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You've been listening to Thot Leader Pod. This episode was hosted, produced, and directed by me, SX NOIR. Edited by RJ Junger, and our theme music is composed by Valley Latini. Please make sure to rate, review, and share with a fellow thought leader. Look out for exclusive merch coming soon. For more details about our guests and their work, check out our links in the description. For updates, sign up for the newsletter at sxnoir.com and follow at SXNoir and Thot Leader Pod everywhere on social media. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.